Rescuing cows in Radhakund, surprise arrivals, patient updates, Gosavax visits EFC Gosmarinum, and much more. At 1-hour-old Belvin is already standing. Bhumi affectionately mothers her newborn bull calf Ekadasi and Belvin, born 2 hours apart last Ekadasi, was a very auspicious day at Care for Cows with the arrival of 2 healthy and unexpected newborn calves. Vanamali kept her secret well concealed right up until the night before her delivery, when one of the cowherd men noticed how swollen her milk bag had become. Sure enough, the next morning at 6 a.m. sharp, Vanamali gave birth to a beautiful white calf named Ekadasi. There was excitement all around and phone calls were made to inform well-wishers of the joyful event. 2 hours later, Bhumi delivered a chocolate brown calf to the amazement of all, as Bhumi was thought to have conceived only 3 months ago. Apparently she was already pregnant long ago, and the proof was right there, standing very wobbly before us. It was double celebrations at Care for Cows. Surprise arrivals. Vanamali grooms her newborn daughter named Ekadasi. Only 3 hours old Gaurangi was allowed to roam freely on the main road outside her home, which doubles as a taxi business. One day her owner was backing one of the taxis out on the road and accidentally ran her over. Needless to say, he was shocked when he got out of the car and saw what had happened, but even more shocking is that he just left her laying on the roadside for the following 15 days without medical attention. Gaurangi was unable to stand, having sustained injuries to her hind legs, which were fortunately not fractured. She was spotted by Sudivai, a Gosavak from Radhakunda, who made arrangements for her relocation to Care for Cows, collecting her with Kurmarupa in the CFC ambulance. Dr. Lavanya examined the calf that afternoon and had the cowherd men lift her to her feet. To the delight of Gaurangi, on arrival in the Care for Cows ambulance with Sudivai of Radhakund and Kurmarupa on a short course of vitamin and mineral injections treating wounds and abrasions on Gaurangi's back leg, superficial leg wound, car accident saves all, she was able to stand and walk assisted for a short time. Each day that followed, Gaurangi's legs were massaged with Gavazati healing oil to remove the pain and stiffness from her limbs. She has made steady progress, each day spending more time on her feet, and now she is able to walk around unassisted. She is still a bit wobbly and cannot stand up on her own yet, but her leg wounds are healing, she's in less pain, and she has a terrific appetite. Gaurangi's previous owner came by CFC 10 days after her admittance and was surprised to see her condition so much improved. He explained that he was out searching for Gaurangi's mother, who had been abducted overnight from the front of his house, most likely by butchers. He was happy to leave Gaurangi at CFC, where she is receiving proper care and is protected from thieves. Recuperating Gaurangi at Care for Cows, standing with assistance. Gaurangi takes a few first steps after her accident 2 weeks back, relaxing with a morning oil massage to help leg mobility, treating a skin fungus on Gaurangi's neck and face. Gaurangi's life. Rescuing cows. Sudivai Dasi has a penchant for renunciation, bhakti, and cows. She is originally from Germany and first came to India on a spiritual quest when she was 19. After visiting many holy places, she settled in Radhakund to perform Radhakrishna Bhajan and has been there. An weak and infirm bull unable to stand is brought to Sudivai's Goshala to be protected. In Radhakund, Sudivai Dasi makes a difference for the past 25 years. 10 years ago she got inspired to tend to abandoned and especially injured cows found in the Radhakund and Govardhan area, and has collected more than 100 and is practically attending to them alone. Somehow today in most parts of India he is brought to a sitting position and consoled and encouraged. The culture of cow protection has deteriorated to the degree that cows are seen as objects to take service from rather than to serve. They are kept only when they provide milk, otherwise one is thought foolish to keep them. It is a sad state of affairs. A European tourist visiting Vraja for the first time asked, "I thought cows were sacred in India. Why are they loitering in the rubbish bins?" Even more perturbing is the comment of an Islamic Indian gentleman who, scratching his head, said, "I cannot understand Hindus. They go on and on about how sacred the cow is and will riot violently for days if a Muslim harms one. They hail the cow as their mother, yet surprisingly show no remorse as she sits in the garbage heaps with the hogs." Indeed, abandoned and injured cows have become so common in the streets of Vraja that practically no one notices them anymore. Except for Sudivai. Whenever she encounters an injured cow, all other business stops and she can think of nothing but helping her. She has 3 hired men to help with the feeding and handling of the animals and a village doctor who assists with the more difficult cases. Several of the cows in her care: top, an abandoned cow with an infected hoof. Middle, Sudivai's men load her on the truck. Bottom, 2 new patients ready to go to Radha Kund. A calf with a mending tibia. A blind cow walks in circles in her private pen. One of the several patients with a broken limb have broken or amputated limbs and one is blind. After tending to the wounded patients, which some days takes several hours, Sudivai sends her men to the streets of Radha Kund and Govardhana in search of injured cows. She reports that there is an increasing number of cows and bulls in the streets and that they are now being abandoned at an earlier age. She says that some of the calves are but 4 months old when they are turned out. She hires a truck and her men patrol the streets, and when they find an injured cow they inquire from the neighbors if she has an owner or not. Generally, an injured cow is seen as a liability, and even owners who have the means to pay for medical supplies refuse to. So the chances of anyone claiming an injured cow in the street are practically nil. Until now Sudivai's expenses have been above. Sudivai caresses a well-attended patient. The satisfied and happy faces of cows whose health has been restored by Sudivai provided by her elderly parents, but she is expanding beyond their capacity and is in need of and deserves further support. Care for Cows will start featuring many of her cows on the residence pages of our website with the hope our viewers will be inspired to offer support, for Sudivai's Goshala is one in spirit with Care for Cows. Below, Sudivai's healthy cows enjoy the winter sun in their spacious barnyard north of Radha Kund. Concerned Gosevaks Care for Cows was honored by the visit of 3 Gosevaks this month, all expressing concern for the sorry plight of the Vrindavan cows. The visitors were Sant Sri Digambara Naga Baba, who has been rescuing abused and abandoned cows in the Vraja area for the past 50 years, Sudivai Dasi, who has been tending to injured cows in Radha Kund for the past 10 years, and Wenda Shihada from UK, who is presently touring India discussing the importance of cow protection in several forums and communities. Sri Digambara Naga Baba is concerned as many local farmers are abandoning the culture of cow protection and openly selling their cows and bulls for slaughter. We received a report during Kartika that even the head of a large Goshala, wearing tilak and neck beads, openly admits that he sells all his bull calves to butchers while collecting substantial donations for cow protection. Owing to greed and the rapid deterioration of Vedic culture, the local Vrajavasis no longer face social repercussion for abandoning their cows or selling them for slaughter. In his determined efforts, Sri Digambara Naga Baba Nandakaiser and Kurmarupa of CFC visit Care for Cows to combat this trend. Naga Baba has established 7 Goshalas to host cows and bulls rescued from the hands of butchers. At present he is hosting more than 2,000 and is hailed as the most dedicated cow protector in Vraja Mandala. Sudivai Dasi is determined to get the cows off the street before they die of neglect or are abducted for slaughter. Though without adequate veterinary assistance, she confidently moves from patient to patient each morning, cleaning wounds and mending broken limbs. Her place more resembles a battlefield hospital than a Goshala. Wenda Shihada spent 4 days in Vrindavan grooming and encouraging our residents and sharing with us her vast experience in cow protection, further infusing in us the conviction that peace and harmony in society is not possible without properly protecting cows. She also offered advice on alternative medicines. Wenda and her partner live on a farm in England where they have a herd of 35 cows and a large organic garden. They daily offer Agnihotra Yajna and with the Gobar and Ash replenish and nourish their pastures and gardens. Baba's secretary Ramesh, and Sudivai Dasi Wenda Shihada encouraging new residents at CFC don't be caught dead in leather. PETA India traffic stopped and inquisitive onlookers stood by when PETA India recently held a unique protest in which Bangalore activists lay in a row of open coffins with a banner placed across them stating, "Don't be caught dead in leather." The message being that dead skin is never fashionable at the expense of lives, and to raise awareness about how animals are treated before they are turned into leather shoes, bags, and other products. Buying leather directly contributes to the misery of the abattoir. The vast majority of animals used for their skin suffer horrors such as painful mutilations, deprivation of all that is natural and important to them, physical abuse and cruel treatment during transport and slaughter. In India, even the most basic animal protection laws are ignored in the production of leather. Animals are regularly crowded onto lorries in such high numbers that many become severely injured, they are often gouged by horns and crushed, and many of them die en route. At most abattoirs, animals are dragged inside and cut open, often with dirty, blunt knives in full view of one another on floors covered with feces, blood, guts, and urine, with some animals skinned and dismembered while they are still conscious. India is the largest exporter of leather in the world. Next time you buy, ask for the non-leather variety, available at most major stores. Kindness is that simple. India's Great Shame photos courtesy PETA India. Every day in India cows are inhumanely trafficked to illegal slaughterhouses. An abattoir worker walks upon a delivery of mangled bodies. Kanchana update: though Kanchana lost her right eye, she still has some vision in the left eye which helps her immensely. Last month Kanchana was brought into care for cows in bad shape with a serious eye wound. Her former owner had turned her out onto the street to fend for herself when she most needed help. Unfortunately, the eyeball was completely destroyed and left her with a large, deep wound. In the CFC November news we reported how Dr. Lavanya had sutured the upper and lower eyelids together, and hopes were for the infection to clear as new tissue filled up the cavity. Fortunately, this is exactly what happened without any setbacks. Once the sutures were removed, we continued cleaning and dressing the wound daily and were amazed at how each day the wound had changed and filled in. Once the infection completely cleared, Kanchana's wound was cleaned every alternate day to allow the tissue to grow undisturbed. Today, after 6 weeks of care, Kanchana's wound has completely closed, leaving a thin, horizontal pink line of scar tissue. Kanchana's following of concerned well-wishers' prayers were answered during the month when it became evident that Kanchana could perceive shapes and movement from her good eye that had appeared completely blind on her arrival. Hence she is happily investigating her new surroundings at CFC. October 18, 2006, Kanchana's eye wound on arrival after cleaning out maggots and dead tissue. November 9, 2006, sutures are removed and the wound continues to fill out with healthy tissue. November 27, 2006, the wound completely closed and new hair growth evident. Lnopko. This is the fourth of a series of 8 photo essays illustrating the daily activities of cows. We hope this serves to endear them to you. Tongue twisting is a curious activity that some cows do regularly and others hardly ever do. Those who do it practically go into trance and seem to be oblivious to everything else. Lnopko klnopklmangyutpisktingo go smaranam. Meditating on the eightfold daily pastimes of cows. Asked Hakali Alila. As far as we know, it is a habit they develop, and all the people we asked indicated that there is no known purpose for it. We welcome any information regarding this practice. A young cow from a Varshana dairy was impregnated early and developed some complications which caused a vaginal prolapse. As the dairymen were unwilling to fund the necessary medical expenses required, she was left in a precarious condition too long. When she arrived at Care for Cows, the prolapsed tissue was maggot infested and infected. Dr. Lavanya manually replaced the prolapse, sutured the vulva and prescribed a course of antibiotics. Some time later the sutures were removed, and after 4 weeks of treatment the infection finally cleared. She will live at Care for Cows now and has been named Varshana Ratna, the jewel of Varshana. Jewel: the prolapsed tissue free of maggots but still covered in spots of infection and dead tissue. Dr. Lavanya replaces the prolapse, which would be pushed out again within minutes without suturing. Suturing the vulva prevents a reoccurrence of the vaginal prolapse. Sugar mixed in an ointment base is pasted onto the wounds from Varshana. Syringes of diluted iodine flush deep inside to clean the infected tissue. Unpasteurized honey is then syringed in to coat the tissue and aid in fast healing. From bulls to oxen. What's the difference between a bull and an ox? One has met a Burdizzo and the other has not. A Burdizzo, bloodless emasculator, turns bulls into oxen in minutes. The Burdizzo is used to crush the spermatic cord on each side of the scrotal neck, cutting off the blood supply to the testicles. Care must be taken that the Burdizzo is not applied too high, where the urethra may be accidentally crushed, leading to urethral rupture and subcutaneous accumulation of urine. The Burdizzo is ideally used for young bulls aged between 15 months to 18 months, and many countries have legal upper limits on the age at which Burdizzo and rubber ring castration may be carried out. The procedure takes only a couple of minutes and the young oxen return to the herd somewhat sore but are often seen sparring and playing soon after. At Care for Cows, most of our young bulls become oxen because bulls often fight, especially over cows in heat, and can kill or cause serious injury to each other. Whereas oxen are more mellow in temperament than bulls, and hence live more harmoniously together in a herd environment. Medicated ointment is applied to the pinched skin to reduce risk of infection and to repel flies. A young bull is restrained and held still while Dr. Lavania carefully clamps the Burdizzo in position over in a few seconds. The clamp is released. Radhika Priya was brought in from the Parikrama path in the summer of 2005, dehydrated and delirious. Her recovery has been slow, but today she is healthy and happy thanks to her sponsors Rakesh and Bhakti Rahira of Mumbai, India. Prema Sagar offers Wenda Shehata his most sincere thanks and appreciation for her dedication to cow protection. Did you know? A Holstein's spots are like fingerprints. No two cows have the same spots. Photo courtesy Hugletswood Homa Farm, UK. Care for Cows' latest 20-page booklet is available at www.careforcows.org. Download Glorious Cows. By circumambulating the cow, one attains the result of circumambulating the whole world. One should give cows in charity and protect her in all respects. A foolish person who beats or chastises a cow goes to hell. A person who gives some food and water to a cow attains the result of performing the horse sacrifice, there is no doubt about it. A person who saves the life of even one cow, attains the result of giving 100 cows in charity. How can a person suffer miseries if his house is adorned with cows? Rare are those who daily worship and serve the cow. Brat Parasara Smriti. Against all odds, Kala Krishna was abandoned and hit by a car in a narrow, congested street at nearby Sant Colony. He was dragged to the side of the road and there he lay for 2 weeks unable to get up as both his back legs were broken. A pujari from a nearby temple noticed him and brought him into Care for Cows. Upon arrival his wounds were cleaned and dressed, an anti-inflammatory pain relief injection administered. Wenda, a Gosevak visiting from the UK, administered rescue remedy drops to Kala Krishna for stress. That afternoon Dr. Lavanya gave Kala Krishna a thorough examination and confirmed that the back left leg was not actually dislocated at the hip, but rather the bone had snapped at the hip, leaving the ball in the hip socket. His back right leg had a large infected wound at the fracture site where pieces of bone were also exposed. The doctor gave instructions on how to proceed with Kala Krishna's medical care and continues to check in on him every few days. Wenda commented that she was amazed how helpful our vet was, as in her experience many vets in the West would never even attempt to help such a case, rather they would enforce euthanasia. Once Kala Krishna's leg wound has healed, the fracture can be cast and the hope is that this will become his stronger back leg, on which he can put some weight, which will allow us to stand him for short periods of time in the cow sling. The doctor advised that even with all going well, the other back leg may take possibly 1 to 2 years to mend. Meantime, as the days cool down in Vrindavan, Kala Krishna is getting lots of rest, massage and light physio out in the healing morning sunshine, and at night he is rugged up under a warm blanket, on a soft mattress in the recovery ward, shared with Gaurangi, who is also recuperating from a recent car accident. Kala Krishna, above right, in good company with his look-alike friend Pushpa, arriving on a flatbed rickshaw, a fortnight after his accident. Kala Krishna is stressed and in pain. Sugar packed on the wound gives fantastic healing results. An old bandage is removed to reveal a badly infected wound, covered in a half-inch layer of pus dressing with a wound pad and gauze bandage. Daily wound cleaning is carried out, starting with flushing the wound with lots of diluted iodine antibiotic and anti-inflammatory injections are given. Third time Lucky Tungavidya, relaxed and content at Care for Cows. Over the last couple of months a brown calf with an abnormal back leg was sighted time and again out on the streets. Care for Cows sent out men twice to find the calf but came back empty-handed on both occasions, as she was nowhere to be found. But third time lucky, the elusive calf was found and brought in from Vidyapitha. She had sustained a fracture to her back leg a long time ago, most likely from a car accident, and without medical care it had healed abnormally. The vet was called to check her over and advised that the fracture was an old case and a cast would not work for her because the bones were already fixed apart by fibrous tissue. Otherwise she was healthy and could manage getting around on her own without any pain. She instantly fit in at Care for Cows and quickly became a favorite due to her peaceful and self-satisfied nature. She is no trouble and remains free to wander in the main front yard with the other recuperating calves, and as she grows up she will always have a special place to stay separate from the main herd. She has been named Tungavidya. While walking sometimes the limb bends in. Tungavidya's fractured back leg healed on its own without the bones connecting. Now the bone ends have sealed over, and are held apart by fibrous tissue. And sometimes it bows out. A stretch bandage supports the leg to some extent. Walking the last mile, during November hundreds of oxen tied together with rope passed through the Vrindavan streets in broad daylight, destined to be sold at a mela across the Yamuna River, where they would once upon a time be sold to farmers for use in their fields, but now 80 to 90% will be purchased for slaughter. Life on the streets. Ananda Dasa, Guatemala Anonymous, Singapore Daniel Lafleur, Denmark Dhruva Maharaja, India Eddie Gaas Beek, USA Freddie Saria, USA Hemant Ramana, USA Icy, Hong Kong Irene Bone, Australia Jalebi Music Projects, Italy Joe Bishop, Australia Jurgen Jensen, USA Josie Holmes, Australia Kamalasana Dasa, India Kate Hebelwaite, Australia Catherine Boundy, New Zealand Katyayani Dasi, USA Kirta Seth, India Linda Burr, Australia Mariana Polanski, USA Nalini Gagar, Netherlands Pallavi Menon. United Kingdom Pam Woods, Australia Param Gada Dasi. Sweden Peter and Pamela Townsend, Australia Prashant Sarawade, USA Radha Jivan Dasa, USA Radha Mohan, USA Radha Paddy Dasa, India Ryan Coe and JB Harry, Netherlands Richard Boyden, USA Saranam Olivier, USA Star Adagio, USA Turt Hakirta Dasi, Switzerland Veronique, Hong Kong Vishal Kapil, India Vrindavan Vilasani Dasi, Germany. The cows send their heartfelt thanks to those who assisted during November 2006. Last minute PS. Just as the news for November comes to a close, we have a last minute announcement. Suradasi has given birth to a strong, healthy bull calf. Long anticipated, Suradasi carried the calf over term to 10 months. Both mother and son are doing well.